time for another round of Read It or Delete It. My Kindle is the place where books go to be forgotten about. There are Stuff Your Kindle Day books on there. There's a lot of those, honestly, a lot. There are Kindle sale books. There are NetGalley arcs on there. There are so many books that I need to read. And I decided to make a TBR jar of all the books. And yes, this is a huge jar. And yes, there are a lot of titles in here. And truly, the randomness of my Kindle TBR has no bounds. But we are going to do some polls throughout this episode. And we are going to either read the book or we are going to delete the book off my Kindle and get some of my Kindle TBR read or off the TBR. Either way, the books are coming off the TBR, either because I read them or because I deleted them. So let's see what our first poll is going to be for this round of Read It or Delete It from this very large jar. And honestly, again, I'm letting you know ahead of time, the mix of things in here, I don't know who I was when I was putting all these things on. Stuff Your Kindle Day, I think I black out half the time. I black out and I'm just adding books with pretty covers and fun titles, and I end up with such a hodgepodge of different things. So like I make no excuses for what's about to come out of here. None at all. But we have one. We have one. Let me put the jar down over here. Let me just get rid of that. And let's see what it is. Ooh, okay. This is not from Stuff Your Kindle Day. This is a NetGalley arc that I'm very excited to get to. This is Queen of, I'm not going to be able to say this last word properly, Themiscyra? I guaranteedly said that wrong. This is a Greek mythology retelling, and I have read other books by this author, and right now the name of the author is completely leaving me, which is driving me crazy because I have loved 2 books by this author already. So I'm going to put a cover up here of it, and the name of the author is going to be there, but when I come back, I'm going to say the correct name because I will have my Kindle with it written down, but my brain is blanking right now. But I have read 2 books by this author. I've given one a 5 and one a 4, and I'm really excited to read another. Right after we pulled that out of the jar, I pulled it up on my Kindle, I grabbed the audio, and I dove into immersion reading. Now, since I have a NetGalley arc, I did really quickly realize immersion reading was not really going to work with this book as much as I would typically enjoy doing it. This is an uncorrected proof. That's part of NetGalley arc. So there's definitely a change between the NetGalley arc and the audio as the book is already out. I'm behind on my arcs. I say it all the time. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to look at it too closely. It is fine. But I am really enjoying being back in a Hannah Lynn Greek mythology retelling. I think she does it some of the best. Like if you like Madeline Miller, you're going to like Hannah Lynn, like for sure, 100%. And in this one, we're following a Greek mythology story that I really know nothing about, which is the first time I'm doing that with Hannah Lynn. The other 2 I've read were stories I was much more familiar with. In this one in particular, we're following 4 queens, all of them daughters of Ares, and they are ruling over an Amazonian army, which is really, really interesting at being an all-female society. We're definitely taking a feministic look at this story, which is very common of Hannah Lynn's retellings. In the very start of this book, we have Hercules show up on land, and he's got a small band of warriors with him. He needs something from these queens, and he gets what he needs from them and leaves, but he brings Theseus with him during this time. And Theseus goes to Hippolyta, who is the top queen of these 4 queens, being the oldest, and asks her to marry him. He is the Prince of Athens. He will someday be the King of Athens. And she's like, no, I am a queen in my own right. I do not need to marry a king to be a queen. I am a queen. I don't need you. So he leaves with Hercules. Many years later, a lot of these women are going off to a neighboring village to get pregnant by the men in this village. They don't have men living with them. They are, again, an all-female society, but they do need to reproduce to continue their society, and they have some sort of situation with this village. So they are going off. Hippolyta does not go as she is barren. And we do talk about fertility a little bit in this book too, which is really interesting as well. And she stays behind. While she is there, there are some other women that do also stay behind for various reasons, and they are living their lives. When Theseus shows back up, he's a little bit older and he is going to convince her to marry him again. She does start a relationship with him, but she has no intention of marrying him, no intention of ever leaving her life here on this island that they are on. Now, I don't want to tell you too much about the story, but obviously this is based in the mythology and you can look it up to know what happens. But he decides to kidnap her and take her. And now her sisters are coming back and they're finding out she's been kidnapped. And we're about to see what goes down after that. And I honestly don't really know the full story of this, but I know her sisters are fighters. They're warriors. They're Amazonian warriors, all of them. And they are going to Athens to get their sister back. And I'm sure things are about to go down, honestly. Because it is time to do another pull from the Read It or Delete It jar because I have finished Queens of Themiscyra. I knew I loved Hannah Lynn's writing. I knew I loved how Hannah Lynn makes Greek mythology so accessible to all of us. These are retellings, but they stick very, very closely to the Greek myth. It is almost just telling you the story and like rounding it out to be a full-length novel. You learn so much while reading this. And this was the first time I've come in not knowing the story. So I felt like I was really learning about these four queens, about this army of Amazons, and about their lifestyle and what they did, what wars they fought, what they participated in, how it connected to other Greek mythology things. And I just appreciated it so, so much. We start with Hippolyta and her kidnapping, but we dive into all four queens and many, many, many years in the lives of the Amazons. And we follow the oldest two daughters most closely of Ares. We do see all four, but Hippolyta and her sister Penthesilea are the ones that we follow the most. But I adored this book. I adored it. I love the writing style. If you want to dive into Greek mythology, I think Hannah Lynn is a great, great, great starting point, especially if you don't know the stories, because she's going to tell you what you need to know and tell you the stories and the Greek mythology background that you need. This was a perfect book to start off this round of Read It or Delete It because coming back to an author I know and love, also getting a NetGalley arc done and helping to raise my NetGalley percentage because I'm not doing the best at that. But let's see what the jar has in store for us next. Because truly, again, the mix of stuff in here is a lot. There's just so much. There's so much that could be in here. There's so much. Editing me here, I realized I never told you what star rating I gave this book, and I gave it a 4. Okay, let's see what our next book option is. I think I only have one piece of paper in my hand. I think. If I pull out more than one, you know what? Maybe we'll just do both books, but I think this is only one. Save Me. This is definitely a Stuff Your Kindle Day book for sure. I feel like it's a romance. It might be a dark romance. Let me pull it up on the Kindle and find out. Okay, so this is Save Me by MC Frank. It's the first in a series, but I do not think it's a dark romance because it says it's an enemies to lovers angsty rom-com. So rom-com leads me to believe it is not dark romance. The cover is gorgeous, which is why it ended up on my Kindle. Stuff Your Kindle Days, I really just read title, look for pretty covers, kind of like the main, like, you know, tropes in it. And I pick those and just kind of go with it. They're free. And if I don't like them, then I can just DNF them, hence Read It or Delete It. So we're going to give this a try. I'm going to see if it has an audiobook. Do not know, hopefully, because I'm not a big physical reader at this point. But you know what? The nice thing with this series is it's making me stretch my eyeball reading muscles. So yeah, I will come back to you once I've given this a little bit of a try. So I rarely do this, but I am going to DNF and delete this book after the first chapter. I really did not like the writing of this book. It was grating on me from almost the first couple of sentences. There were a lot of run-on sentences with many, many commas to make the sentences longer and longer. There were sentences where we changed tense in the middle of the sentence, typos. And honestly, when I looked into this after leaving you, I saw the average rating on this book, and I don't necessarily listen to ratings because those things can be super skewed. But along with how I'm feeling about the first chapter and just seeing like how the writing is just not going to work for me, there's really no point in continuing. So we have our first delete of Read It or Delete It for this round, this video, and let's do another poll and move on to something that hopefully works for me a little bit better. I have high hopes that this next one's going to be better. We're going to like send the jar the vibes that I need something, you know, that the writing style will work for me a little bit better. Okay, let's see. I think this is only one. It's already like opened, I think, in the jar. Oh no, it's just a really long piece of paper. So that means the title's really long. We have, ooh, When Grumpy Met Sunshine. This is obviously a Grumpy Sunshine romance. I mean, I love Grumpy Sunshine. Do I know where I got this book from? Not a clue. I have no idea. Maybe once I look it up, I will remember if it's like a Stuff Your Kindle day. It might be a NetGalley arc for all I know. I have no idea. I have no recollection. I don't think it is. But I'm excited to give this one a try. Hopefully we're onward and upward. So this is a tale as old as time. We have Alfie, who is a grumpy ex-soccer player, kind of. And we have Mabel, who is a ghostwriter being hired to help him write his memoir. And she is super like sunshine. And really quickly, they hit it off. And they have really good banter. That is like the shining star in this book so far, is the banter. But we find out that he really isn't grumpy. He's just extremely misunderstood. And that's why they hit it off, is because she kind of understands him and he understands her, and they work together. And quickly, the public starts to like wonder who she is. They wonder if they're dating, and paparazzi gets involved. And again, we've seen this story before with like famous people and someone in the literary world coming into their world, and like we have to like fake date, or there's miscommunication with like the, you know, public, the news that assumes something that isn't necessarily there. And honestly, it's fine. It's fine. There is some plus size rep in this book, as Mabel is plus sized. I do like to see that. Again, I like the banter, but I feel like it's very insta love, I guess would be the best way to describe this. It feels like we're running through this story at such like a clip, and we're getting like tiny little bits with not a lot of like things to connect it. It almost feels kind of like unfinished in the prep leading up to this romance. The story leading up to it. We just get almost nothing, and then like we're here. And it just, the pacing of it feels a little bit off. But I'm not hating it. I'm not loving it. Again, it's just fine. But it is a NetGalley arc, so that is where I got this from. Didn't remember that in the last clip. So I'm going to keep going and work on my NetGalley percentage, finish this off. It's reading very quickly. I mean, I read like 40% of this just in a couple of hours this morning. So it's a really quick read. And I'm going to finish this out. And it turns out like we are really helping my NetGalley percentage in this video, because this is the second NetGalley arc we've gotten out of the jar. But before we dive back into reading this, I'm going to take a little break and watch my episode of Gilmore Girls. I decided that when I saw that the Hallmark Channel was airing one episode a day of Gilmore Girls, that I thought that was a great way to participate in fall, and I decided to do it just like myself, because I don't actually have the channel. It was like something that showed up in my social media that they were doing. So I've just been like watching it on my streaming services, one episode a day. I'm on season 1, episode 3 today. So I am going to watch that, have a little lunch, and then I will dive back into this book after I just have like a little cozy fall moment with the Gilmore Girls. So the tropes in here, we have Grumpy Sunshine. However, I do think the title of the book leads you to think that there will be more of that in the book than is actually in there. We have fake dating. We have the only one bed trope. We have lots of forced proximity, but we also have a lot of miscommunication, which I despise in a romance. So much of the second part of this book was just me yelling, going, talk to each other. You both like each other. It is very obvious to everyone. Just use your words. She is 33. He is 38. They are not young. Talk. Use your adult words. Use them. Use them. Please use them. Put me out of my misery. Use your words. But it took them ages. It took them ages to use their words. And it was just miscommunication all over the place. And it drove me nuts. The banter in here was great. The smut was actually pretty good too. So there were a lot of things I liked. There were a few things I didn't. Again, I didn't really like the start of this. Once we got into like the fake dating part, I felt like the pacing of the book was better, but that's when the miscommunication started. So like, here we are. 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book. Again, there were a lot of elements that were good, but there were a few elements that just don't work for me in a romance novel. So with that, it's time to find out what the next book for this vlog is going to be, which does mean we need our handy dandy TBR jar to see what we're going to read or attempt to read next out of this very large Kindle TBR. You know what? One immediately just like fell into my fingers when I put my hand in. Like it just, my fingers just grasped it. The universe was like, this one. So let's do that. Let's do this one. Let's see what it is. Where do I put all this stuff? I'm holding too many things. Okay, so we have Still the Sun. This was an Amazon Reads first book. I know exactly what this is. This is by Charlie Holmberg, which it'll be interesting that I'm reading this Charlie Holmberg before The Hanging City, because I have been talking about wanting to read The Hanging City for so long. I have put it on so many year-long challenges. I'm so excited to read that book. This one I'm also excited for, but I'm really excited for The Hanging City, which is also in this TBR jar. But you know what? We'll do this one first. That is totally fine. I think you can always tell that I'm more excited about a book by the fact that I remember what it is on the Kindle. There are so many books on the Kindle, I have no idea what they are. So if I know the title like immediately, that's probably a sign I'm very excited to read this book. This is a fantasy book as far as I know, and I actually don't know as much about this as I do The Hanging City. Again, that was the one that like I've had my eye on the longest. But let me go grab the audio because surely there is one, and we'll dive into this book next. The next morning, I just grabbed a shower and a coffee, and I jumped back into Still the Sun. I am 22% in, and this is a huge disappointment for me. It's so surprising how much I'm disinterested in this book. So there are some things that I'm liking. In this book, we follow Pell, and Pell lives in like a dystopian society. It's mostly like a desert, and we have a lot of cli-fi elements to this book, which is all stuff that would bring me in. There are constant earthquakes, which we don't really discuss that much, but you do get like evidences of these earthquakes. And there are a lot of resources that this society is lacking in. Water, in one of them being metal. And Pell is an engineer, so the lack of metal is something that we really focus on. This society was built up many years ago by people called ancients. And Pell is digging for ancient artifacts, which are made of metal that she can repurpose for the use of the society and make machines, make tools, things that will help her society to move forward. And that part of the book I found interesting. However, most of this book is just Pell building things. And that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me a little bit. Actually, it's where you lose me a lot because I was so bored watching her make machines. It is so much of this book is just engineering. And I'm not interested in that topic. We have 2 strangers that show up, and they are really surprised when these 2 strangers show up, and they're like, how are you here? These strangers say, like, we have found ancient machines, fully intact machines, but they don't work. Can you come fix them? Kind of on the secret and the down low. But again, she's just fixing machines. And that's all there is. There's really not a lot of character work in here. There's a lot of time where we're just building stuff out of metal. And yesterday I wasn't enjoying this and I was bored. Today I wanted to come to it with fresh eyes. See if maybe like I was just tired yesterday. Maybe it was just me. But no, I don't like this book. So we're going to DNF this and we're going to have our second delete of this video, which means we need to do another pull of the jar. My goal is to finish 3 books in one of these videos from the jar. So since we have not finished a third yet, I thought this would for sure be our final book because I just didn't see a world in which I DNF'd it. So let's do another pull from the jar and see what the read it or delete it jar has for us next. Okay, let's see what we're gonna get. Fingers crossed for something good. Cross your fingers, cross your toes, cross all the things for me because I would like to have a successful book. Let's see what this one is. We have Caffeine Before Curses, which I do believe is like a witchy book, which is perfect considering it's now September. I started filming this vlog in August, but we have now slipped into September and it's time for fall and spooky reads and fall times. So here we go. Let me pull it up on the Kindle because truly, other than the fact that it's like coffee and curses, it kind of sounds like it might be cozy, which would be kind of fun, honestly. I wouldn't be mad with a cozy. I also think this is a Stuff Your Kindle Day book. Actually, I'm 100% positive it's a Stuff Your Kindle Day book. Okay, so the title of this, because with Stuff Your Kindle Day books, I always feel like they add stuff to the title so that you like know what the book is. This is a cozy paranormal mystery. Interesting. It's the first in a series called Lattes and Levitation. And that's all I know. It's by Christine Pope. So let's give this a try. Let's see if I like this. So I am 50% of the way through this cozy mystery, and I feel like I go into cozy mysteries with just a different expectation. I come in for vibes, for fun. I'm not looking for like great works of literature. I'm just looking for a fun time because essentially a cozy mystery is unbelievable in real life. Like obviously this small town murder would not be investigated by a psychic who runs a coffee shop in real life. But in a cozy mystery, that's exactly the kind of vibes you want. So when I sat down this morning, I decided to use one of my newer holiday, well, like winter, fall, Halloween mugs, because frankly, this mug just like works with this book so perfectly. Coffee is my magic potion because in this book, again, we follow a psychic who runs a coffee shop. So our psychic is Sky, and she took over her grandmother's coffee shop and lives in her grandmother's old house after the death of her grandmother, but I think she lived there like when her grandmother was alive. She just now is like the sole owner. She lives in a very small town in New Mexico, and a film crew is coming to town to shoot a movie. Apparently this happens quite a lot when they want kind of like a small town vibe. So they're used to having film crews in town. This film crew though has somebody very, very special as the main actor. And he is a childhood friend that actually grew up in this town that Sky had a crush on. Obviously, it's been years. He's been gone for like 10 years. He's been in Hollywood doing his actor thing. And she's not really sure how they're going to pick up their friendship. They've never dated or anything. She just had a crush, but she still does have a crush. So they meet, they catch up. He starts working on the movie set. She gets a vision that something potentially is going to go wrong on this movie set, and it does. The director ends up being murdered, and Max ends up being the main suspect. And she's like, there's no way Max would do this. Like, he absolutely would not hurt someone. So she is going to investigate this, even though the police have pretty much zeroed in on Max. Again, cozy mystery. We've seen it before, that's kind of how these amateur sleuths start to become amateur sleuths. She also can read tea leaves, so she has kind of used her psychic powers to like ask the tea leaves what happened in the murder. And obviously they don't give overt answers, but they do give some answers to some questions, and she's starting down her line of investigation. I really am enjoying it. It's a fun time. Again, I kind of come into cozies for a fun time. I'm liking the coffee aspect, There's some baking aspects to it because obviously a part of her coffee shop, she is a baker and she's baking throughout. So you know I love when there's baking in a book. As someone who likes to bake, it's making me want to bake. Will I bake today? Probably not. It's probably not in the cards for today, but like it's making me want to. But yeah, for the rest of the day, it's about, it's almost 1 o'clock now. So for the rest of the day, I'm going to just keep reading this around doing some other things. I don't have an audiobook for this, so I actually have to like sit down and read it. So it does slow me down a little bit going into like the afternoon where maybe I'm like getting a few last minute cleaning things done, getting a bit of dinner done. But when I can sit down, I will be sitting down and reading this. And just right now, I just made a coffee and I'm planning to continue to sit down for maybe the next hour or so before I have to like go up and do some other tasks. But I made my coffee cup match, but I also made Death by Chocolate coffee because again, I'm just like giving into the vibes of this cozy mystery today. I actually just noticed while holding this up that my sweater matches this cup. I didn't even do that one intentionally. The rest of them I did intentionally. That one I didn't even mean to do, but here we are. It's what I've done. So yeah, that's my plans for the rest of today. And I don't know if I'll finish this today. I mean, I've already read 50%. And again, I can't do it while I'm doing other tasks, but I should be able to get a little bit more done today, maybe another like 20-ish%, and then we'll finish the rest tomorrow. So I'm currently on sprints and I just finished Caffeine Before Curses. I'm going to give this 4 stars. This had everything that you want from a cozy mystery. It has the small town with small town vibes. The gossip is rampant. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody like went to school with everybody, knows everybody's business. And that's what you want in a cozy mystery. Let's be honest. You have a really good amateur sleuth. She is an interesting character. Skye is a very interesting character. She's good at investigating. She has this like special magic powers with her psychicness, and all of that leads to Skye being a really interesting character to follow. She also has a good friend in Deanne, who I don't think I mentioned in my last update, but Deanne helps her run the coffee shop. And I feel like every amateur sleuth needs a side character, needs a best friend to like back her up, cover the coffee shop while she's running around solving mysteries instead of running her coffee shop. And Deanne was a really good friend and side note. And then we also have a romance kind of like running through this book that doesn't really have a conclusion in this, but I do think Max, again, coming back to town is going to continue throughout the series, and Skye and Max are going to be like the romantic leads that are just kind of in the background. Obviously, romance in cozy mystery tend to be kind of like a subplot, but it is a common subplot in cozy mystery, and I do think I really am rooting for Skye and Max. I could definitely see me at some point continuing the series. I don't have the next one on Kindle, but I could see me at some point if I need a cozy mystery or feel the need to like pick up a cozy mystery to return to this series. I haven't read a cozy mystery in a really long time, and this reminded me how much I do love them for quick palate cleansers. To just have a fun, easy, fun time with a book. I haven't really been reading that kind of thing in a while, and I do think I missed it. And I'm really glad that the Read It or Delete It jar made me read one and remind me that I do have a space for cozy mysteries in my, monthly reading, to add it in every once in a while, just to like change up what I'm reading. I've been reading a lot of fantasy this year and a lot of romance, and this is just something a little bit outside of that, but does have some of the hallmarks of things that I like about, such as romance with the small town, good characters, that kind of thing that will gravitate me towards cozy mystery. Anyway, that's the end of Read It or Delete It for this round. I have really enjoyed using the TBR jar, and honestly, it took a while to make the TBR jar, so I think we're going to keep that around and come back to it for another round of Read It or Delete It down the road. But I do have an idea for something that we're going to do for Read It or Delete It next round, so stick around. You'll see that sometime soon. If you made it all the way to the end of the video but had nothing to say down below, leave the jar emoji for the lovely TBR jar that has brought us to this moment. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.